Hi, I'm Laura Glennie and I'm a member of the Support for Learning team at West Lothian College. My job is to sort of coordinate mental health and wellbeing information for students. So I thought it'd be helpful to put together this video on wellbeing planning, which can be a really helpful process if um, you're currently feeling well and you want to have a plan in place for, if you have dips sometime in your mood or you tend to have mental health challenges. Um, or you're someone that wants to help someone else and you're looking for a few suggestions on guiding how that would work. Thought I'd go through some of this for you today. First, it's always good to revisit what West Lothian College think about mental health, and to remind you really that we know it's okay to ask for help and that mental health challenges are totally common. Um, I like this World Health Organization definition because it doesn't focus on diagnosis or the type of mental health challenge you have, but really what it means for you. So mental health is a state of well-being where an individual realizes their own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life. Um, and really, it's just making sure that your brain and the way that you think is working in a way that is manageable for you. Whereas if we look at well-being as kind of more broad, put simply, it's about how we are doing as individuals. And there's so many dimensions to this: our relationships, where we live, the people we associate with. And again, it's just about how satisfied we are with our lives, and do we have a sense that what we do with our life is worthwhile? Um, and can we cope with our day-to-day emotional experiences? So obviously everyone feels sadness, anxiety, happiness, but are all of those feelings manageable for you? So that's a bit about how we see it. But today we're looking at planning for your well-being, and the formal processes around that. So wellbeing planning is a tool to plan for your mental health, and it exists in many forms. It is widely agreed that spending dedicated time to think ahead about your triggers, what you'd like to happen if things get tough, considering daily self-care is a helpful thing to do. And there's all different mental health and wellbeing charities that have created these different structured wellbeing plans to help you do this. There's a UK charity called Charlie Waller Trust, and they have a wellbeing action plan, which is kind of the third picture on the screen you can see here. It can be accessed for free online, and that'll be accessible along with this video. There's also a mental health charity called Mind, who you can see in the middle image here, that have made wellness action plans. And that's another framework for how you can do this. But one of the best known planning tools for a WRAP, wellbeing, is a Wellbeing Action Recovery Plan, WRAP. And that was developed in 1997 by someone called Mary Ellen Copeland, and now it's widely used around the world. And that's in the first picture, a WRAP plan. So they are some frameworks for wellbeing action planning. But why do we actually do it? So I've put together some benefits of wellbeing planning on the screen. So helping you to know if things have gotten much worse. Sometimes, especially if we do have a mental health diagnosis like depression, things can kind of creep up on us, or we can get used to the challenges and think that our life is always like that, when actually maybe it's been more challenging than usual. Um, and we can forget ways that help us feel well, or things that we like to do when we're in that kind of state. Um, yeah, and sometimes it's overwhelming and it's too hard to make a plan when things get difficult. Um, yeah, and looking at what actually kind of sets the ball rolling on those kind of feelings. So what are triggers or stressors and things like that. Um, so really, it's quite a personal process. It would be helpful for you to spend some time right now to think about what you want to get out of your wellbeing recovery action plan, or WRAP. If you could get some paper and spend a few minutes considering this. Specifically, why does this topic interest you, and why have you watched this video? So try and be specific. Things like, an example could be, I'd like to reduce my feelings of fear when going out of public to do my food shopping, or to take part in my own recovery when things are tough, to feel less helpless. So you might want to take a few moments just now and think about that for yourself. Could also be helpful for me to speak a bit about why a Wellbeing Recovery Action Plan was developed in the first place back in 1997. The kind of four main aims of WRAP would be to decrease and prevent unwanted or troubling feelings or behaviours, increase the choices you make about how you live your life, improve your quality of life, and to help you achieve your goal of whatever it is. So think about define why you would plan for your own mental well-being. So once you know why, it's good to start building up a wellness toolbox. That's the first step in developing your own plan. So this is a listing of things that you've done in the past or that you could do to help you stay well, things that you could do to help yourself feel better when you're not doing well. So things you've done in the past, things you've heard of that you thought you might like to try, things that have been recommended to you by healthcare providers or supporters, write them all down. And again, it can be difficult to remember these things when we're not well. So sometimes it can feel really obvious when we're writing it down, but it's for the times when things like this aren't obvious, which happens to us all. So once you've taken some time to think about that for yourself, there's some ideas here. They're definitely not one size fits all ideas, but the main point of a wellbeing recovery action plan is to really search yourself for the tools that are going to work best for you. So if it's walking a specific dog to a specific spot, or drinking orange juice upside down, or something like absolutely out there, put it down because it's for you. Think about what makes you feel happy. What stops you feeling bad? What helps you relax or feel calm? What gives your life meaning? And again, there's some ideas on the screen here. So you might want to break it down. So something that some people do is things that I need to do every day. So they start listing the day-to-day stuff. So once you've got an idea of a general wellness toolbox, you might want to break it down to things to do every day to keep yourself feeling as well as possible. Things that you need to do less often than every day, but it's important to keep your overall sense of well-being. Things that you don't do yet, but you could do a lot more, and things that you should actively avoid on the day-to-day as well. So I guess day-to-day things might be smile, believe in yourself, try new things, exercise, contact friends, socialize, make time for yourself. It could be as simple as shower and chill out, get enough sleep, give yourself space, positive use of your phone or social media, wearing something that makes you happy. It's so varied. But take a moment to consider the questions on the screen, come back to them. You're not going to, all the answers of this today aren't going to come, but they're really good things to consider for now. So the next thing to consider, once you've spent a good amount of time, and maybe it'll be a few days or a few weeks, thinking about your wellness toolbox and answers to those questions in the previous slide, you might want to think about your stressors or your triggers or your challenges, however you like to put it. Really what I'm talking about is things that might throw you off track when you are feeling well. The triggers are things that happen to us or situations we face that can make it harder for us to stay well, like reminders of specific events or situations, things that make you feel out of control. So think about your likely triggers. Take a moment to write about this. Do you know, it could be anything from exams, relationship breakups, bullying, moving, physical or mental illness, college holidays, any kind of change. And once you've spent time to yourself thinking about these stressors, it's then good to use the wellness toolbox in action. So when you're not triggered or stressed, you can think ahead about what might help. And this is using your clearer state of mind wisely. Sometimes when you are stressed, you lose your ability to reason or forget what you really enjoy. And it's a really good idea to have plans in place for when this happens. Try your best to work through these healthy coping strategies that we've identified. So Take a moment to think about what tools would happen to respond to your trigger or stressor. So if your stressor is college holidays, your action plan for these could be talk, let your family and friends support you, confide in someone at work, ring a helpline, make a plan, use a trusted social media support, use art or music, admit that there's a problem. It could be anything, but what is it for you? So you've got the challenge. What kind of wellness tools are you going to use? So if we know what the challenges are, what usually helps, what we'd like to do every day or every other day, um, it's good to start thinking about early warning signs of getting to that triggered or stressed or unwell point. Um, Early warning signs are changes in the way that you think, act, or feel, and they're signs that you need to take action before things get a bit worse. So take some time to consider what are your early warning signs. Um, if you spot early warning signs of things are going less well for you or your friend or the person that you're helping, what can you do next? So the questions on the screen this time to consider are, what are your early warning signs? What tools can you use from your wellness toolbox when you notice an early warning sign? And what advice would you give to a friend you're concerned about who had these early warning signs? And if we think about these in advance, again, we can be better prepared. So as a reminder, hopefully by now you've gotten information on identifying your personal wellbeing goals, so why you want to do this, what self-care strategies work day to day or now and again, things that you should avoid, what's likely to stress or trigger you or challenge you, and a personalised plan for each of those stresses or triggers. So once that's clear, we can start thinking about if we're breaking down or things are getting much worse. We won't work on this together in this session. It's quite a personal topic. It's hard to speak quite generally about these because we're thinking about real specifics or mental health diagnosis. But if you're looking into wellbeing planning, it's important to consider what you'd like to happen if things get much worse. When things are breaking down or you find yourself thinking that things are worse, a crisis might be in your future, a real mental health challenge. And it's good to know what signs of this are, what actions you might take if that comes into place. It might include wellness tools, but when things feel more serious, it might include a plan to inform someone trustworthy, or a plan with your GP about what might happen. It's particularly helpful to decide what you'd like to happen in these situations, as when we're heading for a crisis, it can really feel like our choices and options are going away. So really, it's about when we feel clear-headed, taking the time to think, what are all of these things? What am I usually like? What would I really like to happen? And what's sincerely going to help me, which is within my own toolbox? We know that it's helpful to speak to a counsellor, to speak to a trained professional, to speak to a doctor, but we also have to bear in mind our responsibilities to ourselves. And it's good to think about what we can really do. Are we doing the right things to look after ourselves when we're not feeling it? Are we doing things to make things worse when we're not feeling it? And being real about ourselves about what the best plan is to help, really. So think about, how would you like to develop this plan? Are you going to use one of the suggestions earlier, like the RAP plan template or the Charlie Waller Trust template? Would you like the college to have a design a wellbeing session plan? How can we help you to finalise your wellbeing plan? Is this something you want to do on your own? Is it something you'd like to work with us with? So have a think about that and sit down and start looking. There's a free RAP app on the iTunes store and on Google Play, or those free resources and those websites as well. But the real message is to encourage you to spend time to sit down and have a deep, long look at how you'd like to plan for these things. And if you do have any questions or ideas, want to clarify something, or you think that you could offer something to the wellbeing support we have at college, just email me. Absolutely anything. My email's on the screen. It's lglennie@west-lothian.ac.uk. And thank you for listening today. I hope you got something out of that. And best of luck with your plan.